Government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
Justin Trudeau has effectively destroyed the India-Canada relationship. His bombshell allegations that the Indian government was involved in the killing of pro-Khalistan extremist Hardeep Singh Nijjar has sparked a diplomatic battle with India. The consequences will be severe, and bilateral ties will likely not recover for years. It didn't have to be like this. When Justin Trudeau became Canada's Prime Minister in 2015, he inherited a strong and growing relationship with India. So how did Trudeau get everything so wrong? Let's start in 2015, when Trudeau became Canada's Prime Minister. He took charge just after a successful visit by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2015, which took place when Trudeau's successor, Stephen Harper, was still Prime Minister. For some background, Stephen Harper had been a strong supporter of a close relationship with India during his decade as Canada's leader. In 2010, Harper helped start talks on a free trade agreement, and he designated 2011 as the year of Canada in India. He also signed a nuclear agreement with India in 2015, where Canada agreed to sell fuel for India's nuclear reactors. So it is fair to say that Trudeau inherited a strong relationship with New Delhi. During the 2015 election campaign, Trudeau's Liberal Party called for closer trade ties with India. Not much else was known about Trudeau's India policy. And within a short period of time, experts began to say that Trudeau had failed to build on the momentum that Harper had built up in the India-Canada relationship. In 2016, Canada's High Commissioner to India had to face tough questions about whether the relationship was on autopilot. This was because experts felt that Trudeau had neglected India during his first year as Prime Minister, in order to focus on countries like the United States, Mexico, and China. Talks on a free trade agreement had also slowed, according to the Hindustan Times. However, in 2018, Trudeau announced that he would come on a high-profile visit to India. It's important to note that this only happened after his efforts to strike a trade deal with China failed during a visit to that country in 2017. As mentioned before, part of the speculation among experts was that Trudeau had focused on China, while India was a relatively low priority. But Trudeau's 2018 visit became highly controversial from the start. Jaspal Atwal, a Khalistani extremist who was convicted of trying to kill an Indian cabinet minister in 1986, received an invite for a dinner from the Canadian High Commission. The invite was quickly cancelled, but it caused significant public outrage in India. Besides this, Trudeau's delegation managed to get into a public spat with Punjab's Chief Minister Captain Amarinder Singh. This isn't even getting into Justin Trudeau's strange wardrobe for the trip, which undercut his image in India as a serious leader. Although India and Canada launched a new joint framework for cooperation on counter-terror during this visit, the scandals surrounding Trudeau took attention away from those achievements. Canada mentioned pro-Khalistan terror groups like Babbar Khalsa International for the first time in that joint framework on counter-terrorism. That led to hope in India that Canada was looking to cooperate on managing this threat. And it was a big moment because Canada's government had long been seen by India to be soft on managing this threat. However, that wasn't to be. India Today reports that in 2018, Canada's Public Safety Ministry released a report identifying Khalistani and Sikh extremism as a threat to the safety and security of Canadians. This was a positive move. But pressure came in from segments of the Sikh Canadian community, including extremist organizations like Sikhs for Justice, who are politically active and are major supporters of Trudeau's Liberal Party. Faced with significant domestic pressure, Trudeau's government caved, and mentions of Khalistan or Sikh extremism were removed from the report. And Indian officials were disappointed because of this backtracking from Canada's government. Political tensions between India and Canada rose further in 2020 when Trudeau made comments on the ongoing farmer law protests. India shot back against this interference in its domestic politics. However, matters were also not helped when in 2021, Trudeau's Liberal Party lost its majority in Parliament in a general election. It formed a coalition with Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the New Democratic Party. Singh had spoken at a pro-Khalistan rally and had also termed the 1984 riots in India as a genocide. He is also a prominent critic of the Modi government. With this, the tone of the India-Canada relationship was set. While both sides did continue cooperation on defense, trade, and immigration, and everything seemed somewhat stable, serious tensions always simmered underneath the surface. Those tensions became clear for all to see in 2023, when India launched a manhunt for the extremist Amritpal Singh. This led to internet shutdowns by authorities in an effort to contain disturbances. These moves led to protests in Canada against India. In fact, India's High Commission in Canada alleged the use of smoke grenades by protesters who were often from pro-Khalistani groups. These groups also began to publish propaganda glorifying the attacks against Indian diplomats. India pushed the Canadian government to do more and crack down on these extremist groups. While Canada condemned the attacks, India felt that Justin Trudeau's government had not gone far enough. In June this year, India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar said, "For us, how Canada has dealt with the Khalistani issue has been a long-standing concern, because very frankly, they seem to be driven by vote bank politics." The killing of pro-Khalistan extremist Hardeep Singh Nijjar in June this year in Canada only intensified Khalistani propaganda. Nijjar had been classified as a terrorist by the Indian government, but these groups began attacking specific Indian diplomats for the death of Hardeep Nijjar and announced rewards for anyone who would give information regarding the addresses of Indian diplomats. Besides all of this, a serious allegation was leveled against the Indian government by these groups. The Indian government, they said, had a hand in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Canada's government evidently thought that there was something to these allegations. But as India's foreign ministry stated on Thursday, Canada shared no detailed information about its suspicions, despite bringing up the matter with Indian officials. That was when Justin Trudeau's government went on the offensive. Giving no reasons, it asked the Indian government to pause talks on their proposed free trade agreement. Canada's trade minister also cancelled a planned visit to India. Right before the G20, Canada also attempted to ruin the event by approaching powers like America and the United Kingdom to confront India over Nijjar's death, which they refused to do. Trudeau has also accused India of interference in Canada's politics, without really specifying what he meant. His frosty meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the sidelines of the G20 confirmed that Indo-Canadian ties had hit a new low. And all of this, which has just happened in the last few weeks, led to Monday's events, where Trudeau essentially accused India of having a role in Nijjar's death and expelled an Indian diplomat from Canada. India rejected the allegations and responded with its own expulsion of a Canadian diplomat. It has since suspended visa services in Canada. Trudeau's accusations also sparked widespread outrage in India. The result is clear to see. India-Canada ties have been broken. Trust between the two countries has been lost, and plans for more cooperation in defense and trade are effectively dead. This is a marked contrast to the bilateral relationship that Trudeau inherited. All it took was 8 years.